He shouldn't have made it out. A U.S. Marine, wrists duct-taped, face swollen and bloody, wedged against the sun-baked glass of a stolen SUV, barely conscious while, out of the heat haze, 3 German shepherds materialized, ribs showing, eyes lit up with a kind of purpose only the lost ever carry. They weren't anybody's pets. No tags, no collars, just a memory of what it meant to serve, and maybe something deeper. Nobody ever figured out how they tracked him down that far out of the Arizona desert, or why they wouldn't let go. But that morning, with the desert wind howling like a warning, those dogs made a decision that nobody in Tucson would ever forget. Let me back up a sec, because what happened that day, well, it changed the way I look at dogs, at people, at miracles. You know what I mean? If you've ever wondered if animals have souls, stick around. And hey, tell me where you're watching from, because this story's about to put Tucson on your map. The day started slow, sun crawling across a Sonoran sky, so pale you'd swear it had already been bleached by heat and memory. Just outside Tucson, in a faded little highway diner called Saguaro Stop, Sylvia Ramirez stood behind counter. 50, with eyes that looked right through you, dark hair pulled back tight. She lost her husband, Felixa Marine, gone too soon in a freak accident at Pendleton, and she bought the diner with what the Corps paid out. Now she ran the place mostly out of habit, serving coffee and comfort to truckers, drifters, and the odd lost soul. She was drying a napkin holder when the bell over the door chimed, but nobody came in. Instead, 3 German shepherds slipped inside like ghosts, one tall and dark with a scar over his right eye, another smaller with a patch of white on his chest, and the youngest paws way too big for his body, all nerves and hope. They were skinny, dusty, eyes sharp as broken glass. Sylvia just squatted down and said, "You boys look like you've walked here from El Paso." Thirsty, she set out a bowl of water. They drank, but never took their eyes off the windows. Outside, a gray SUV idled under a busted parking lot light, tinted glass black as a confession. The middle dog, Bravo, stiffened mid-drink, growled low, and stared at the SUV. Sylvia followed his gaze, and then the door opened. This time, a man did step in. 6 foot, blonde hair parted perfect, ice blue eyes with a look that'd freeze a room. Suit, shoulder holster barely hidden, and a vibe that said, "Don't ask, don't linger." Name was Elliot Crane. He ordered black coffee, never broke eye contact with the SUV outside. The air felt tense, like the diner was holding its breath. The dogs didn't bark. Instead, the oldest, Alpha, sat facing the window, body coiled. Sylvia remembered something her late husband once told her: shepherds only get that quiet when they're working something out. She watched Elliot, saw his hand drift toward his coat every time a siren howled by on the highway, saw the way his jaw clenched and eyes darted to the SUV. Meanwhile, the youngest, Charlie, dropped low to the ground, tail straight out, every muscle strung tight. The whole place went cold. A regular named Glenn, old janitor with a voice like gravel, whispered, "I seen those dogs before. Last month, flood cleanup, they just showed up and sat with the search teams. Never barked, never ran. Like they knew who to trust." Sylvia shivered. Glenn thought maybe military dogs, maybe rescue. Whatever they were, they didn't belong to anyone now. Outside, Alpha moved to the SUV, nose to the window, saw a pair of eyes swollen, bruised, blinking 3 times. Sylvia's stomach dropped. She remembered what that meant. SOS, the universal code. Back inside, Alpha padded up to her and tapped his paw 3 times on the floor. Sylvia grabbed her phone and called Sheriff Rachel Moreno, her old friend, an Army vet who trusted her gut more than any protocol. "Rachel, it's Sylvia. I need you at Saguaro Stop. I think there's someone in danger. Me dogs just saw him blink SOS. Your dogs. They're not mine, but I trust them." While they waited, a young hitchhiker wandered in, sunburned and jumpy, just passing through. The tension never broke. Elliot watched everyone, but mostly the dogs. The youngest barked a sharp, single warning. Bravo moved closer to Elliot, who muttered, "I don't like dogs." "They're not bothering you, are they?" Sylvia asked, voice flat. "Not yet," he shot back. As the sky darkened, the air pressed down heavy. Sylvia got a text. 5 minutes out, stay calm, don't escalate. She slid her hand under the counter, fingers trembling. Elliot stood, paid, left a complaint about the coffee, and stepped outside. Seconds later, shouts erupted. "Daddy, the dogs are fighting." It wasn't a fight, it was a coordinated takedown. Alpha blocked Elliot's path to the SUV, Bravo flanked the vehicle, and Charlie circled from behind. Elliot yanked a gun from his jacket, but Charlie lunged, teeth snapping onto his arm. The man screamed, dropped the weapon, staggered. Bravo's growl rumbled like distant thunder, and Elliot froze, bleeding and cornered. Then, from inside the SUV, a thud someone was trying to get out. Red and blue lights split the night. Sheriff Moreno rolled up, gun drawn. "Nobody move." Sylvia pointed to the SUV. In the back there's someone tied up. Rachel and her deputy smashed the window. Pride opened the back door. Inside, a battered Marine Sergeant Troy Maddox. Missing for 2 weeks, collapsed into their arms, barely breathing. It all spun fast after that. Deputies cuffed Elliot Crane on the asphalt, blood trailing from his arm, while another man, his accomplice, hiding in the shadows, was dragged out and cuffed. They matched open FBI files on trafficking suspects, finally caught red-handed. Meanwhile, the dogs didn't leave Troy's side. One of the deputies later said, "I've never seen animals work like that. Like they were running a rescue op." Maybe they were. News spread like wildfire. By morning, a live stream of the rescue was everywhere. 3 German shepherds saved Marine. The footage was raw, unfiltered, proof that loyalty isn't limited to uniforms or badges. Troy spent weeks recovering, voice hoarse, writing out what happened, how he signaled the dogs, how they wouldn't leave, how they saved his life. The trial drew crowds from all over. Sylvia took the stand and told the truth, how Alpha dragged his paw 3 times, how she knew what it meant. The defense tried to say it was coincidence, stress, imagination, but the video didn't lie. During a recess, Troy knelt and thanked the dogs, called them his new unit, his family. Sylvia just nodded. "They're not mine," she whispered, "but they saved us all." Afterward, with settlement money and help from the town, Sylvia opened Bravo's shelter, name for the trio where retired or abandoned working dogs would never go unwanted again. Troy worked security, fixed up kennels, let himself heal. Kids and lost souls came and went, but the dogs Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie became legends, local heroes with their own room in the city's heart. One afternoon, a quiet boy named Micah, whose father died in a rescue, visited with his mother. Charlie, always the eager one, chose him. The boy smiled, the first in months, and they left together down a gravel path, dog and child, both learning to trust again. At sunset, Sylvia sat on the porch, Alpha's head heavy on her knee, watching shadows stretch across the yard. Inside, Cassie's crayon drawing 3 shepherds standing guard over a Marine hung beside a plaque. For those who saved lives, without ever speaking. The air was calm, the world finally quiet. And yet, outside, the wind carried whispers about loyalty, redemption, and the miracles that come not in thunder, but on silent pause, in places nobody's looking. That night, the dogs curled up at Troy's feet, the stars burning over Tucson, and somewhere you could almost hear the world breathe out safe for a moment. So, let's hear from you. What would you have done? Do you believe those dogs were sent for a reason? Drop your thoughts below. If you believe in miracles, if you've ever been saved by something you couldn't explain, share this story. Subscribe, comment, and let's keep talking about what's right and what's just. Because sometimes the bravest heroes don't carry badges. Sometimes they just wait until you need them most.